I'm Richard Reynolds here with columnist Bob Robb. I guess the Arizona voting population has spoken and likes voting early, voting by mail. Uh, but you're describing some of the efforts in the legislature to curtail that. What do you think are some actual ballot reforms that we need?
Well, we don't need anything, as the trumpeters in the legislature are advocating, to reduce the choices that Arizonans currently have and are fully embracing. Nearly 90% of ballots cast in the last election were cast by mail or an early ballot, otherwise delivered, or going early to a voting center. So this is clearly what the voters support. There's various Republican proposals in the legislature to curtail it. They're not going anywhere, but it shows a big disconnect between those folks in the legislature and their constituents who are saying, here's how we like to vote.
And I guess with any system, after any election, the way it possibly might work is we learn some lessons as we kind of roll this thing out and make some nip and tucks. But it seems like you're saying, as you call them, trumpeters, are overreaching, not just because they thought some screws need to be tightened, but because of the election result.
Yes, I mean, they have bought into Trump's general denunciation of mail balloting, which has been embraced fully by the body politic in Arizona. That said, and that should be preserved, mail balloting is susceptible to vulnerabilities. And where we can preclude those vulnerabilities or protect against them, we should. And the one election bill that is moving through the legislature that goes in that direction is also being widely denounced by the Democrats, who tend to take ballot security lightly, like Republicans take ballot access excessively likely. That proposal would say if you are on the early ballot list, so you get a ballot by mail and you don't use it for 2 consecutive election cycles, you're bounced off of it unless you say you want to stay on it by returning a postcard, and you're always consigned back up on it. In this last election, there were more than 200,000 ballots that were mailed out that weren't used. Now, if you're looking at it from a ballot security standpoint, having 200,000 loose ballots, blank ballots floating around out there is not a good idea. So if we can reduce that number by saying, if you're going to vote by mail, you need to vote by mail. If you don't have an interest in voting by mail, we shouldn't be sending in blank ballot that's just going to sit around unused.
Yeah, and it sounds like this is one of those, and I guess there's many of these issues that get caught up in the noise that surrounded former President Trump, correct?
Sure. I mean, Democrats, I think, overreact to anything that looks like ballot security because of history. Another example is ballot harvesting, the practice of political activists going out and collecting ballots. To me, it's just a self-evidently bad idea to have thousands, if not tens of thousands of ballots in the hands of party or partisan activists. The legislature did outlaw that practice in 2016. The Democrats went to court. Attorney General Mark Brnovich has succeeded in keeping it alive through 3 election cycles while it's under constant legal attack. It is actually up before the U.S. Supreme Court for oral arguments on March 2nd. I believe the odds are pretty strong that the Supreme Court will uphold that. But this is another example of not taking ballot security as seriously as it should be taken, given that we want to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat, to shamelessly adopt Governor Doug Ducey's, I think, very good maxim on what election procedures should seek to accomplish.
And boy, Supreme Court argument of a Arizona case back in the old days, that would meant first class flights for people like us and steak dinners but we'll just have to settle for a watch party on C-SPAN.
You bet.